Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah came to see me 3 years ago, clutching a mason jar filled with chia seed pudding. She was 42 years old, suffering from chronic joint pain, brain fog, and crushing fatigue that made every morning feel like climbing a mountain. She'd read online that chia seeds were a miracle food for inflammation, packed with omega-3 antioxidants, so she'd been eating them religiously for 6 months. "Dr. Lemke," she said, "I'm doing everything right. Why do I still feel terrible?" That question haunts me, because Sarah represents something deeply broken in how we think about health in the 21st century. We've been sold a lie, a seductive, dangerous lie that there's always a single solution, one magic bullet, one superfood that will save us from our suffering. The chia seed illusion. Now, before you think I'm here to trash chia seeds, let me be clear. Chia seeds are nutritious. They contain fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, protein, and minerals. They're a perfectly fine food. But here's what nobody wants to tell you because it doesn't sell books or supplements or clicks. Chia seeds alone will not fix your inflammation. Nothing alone will. And understanding why requires us to confront an uncomfortable truth about how we got here in the first place. We live in an age of instant gratification. DoorDash delivers meals in 30 minutes. Amazon Prime arrives in a day. Netflix queues up the next episode automatically. Our brains have been rewired to expect immediate solutions to complex problems. This is dopamine-driven thinking, and it's killing us. When Sarah discovered chia seeds online, her brain lit up with hope. That surge of dopamine felt like relief, even before she'd swallowed a single seed. The anticipation of a solution became the solution itself. She was high on hope. But inflammation doesn't work on dopamine time. Inflammation is the result of years, sometimes decades, of accumulated insults to the body. It's the consequence of processed foods, chronic stress, poor sleep, sedentary behavior, environmental toxins, social isolation, and yes, sometimes genetic predisposition. You cannot undo years of damage with a tablespoon of seeds in your smoothie. Yet we keep trying. We lurch from superfood to superfood, from kale to acai to turmeric to bone broth to chia, always chasing that dopamine hit of the next big thing. And when it inevitably doesn't work, we don't question the paradigm. We just move on to the next promise. This is magical thinking, and it's keeping us sick. Let me share what actually happens in inflammation. Because once you understand the mechanism, the absurdity of single-solution thinking becomes clear. Inflammation is your immune system's response to perceived threats. When you eat processed foods loaded with refined sugars and industrial seed oils, your gut lining becomes permeable. Proteins that should stay in your digestive tract leak into your bloodstream. Your immune system, which has never encountered these molecules in this context, sounds the alarm. Cytokines flood your system. White blood cells mobilize, your body temperature rises, your joints ache, your brain becomes inflamed, and suddenly you can't think clearly. You're exhausted because your body is diverting enormous energy to fight what it perceives as an invasion. But here's the thing, it's not just food. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which directly promotes inflammatory pathways. Poor sleep disrupts the lymphatic system, preventing your brain from clearing inflammatory waste products. Lack of movement means your lymphatic system, which has no pump of its own, becomes stagnant. Loneliness and social isolation have been shown in hundreds of studies to increase inflammatory markers as powerfully as smoking. Your inflammation is not a chia seed deficiency, it's a system-wide breakdown that requires a system-wide solution. When Sarah understood this, something shifted in her face. It was like watching someone wake up from a dream. She'd been so focused on what she could add to fix the problem that she hadn't considered what she needed to remove. So we started there. First, we eliminated ultra-processed foods. Not because they lack nutrients, but because they contain combinations of sugar, fat, salt, and additives that hijack the brain's reward system and promote inflammation through multiple pathways. Sarah stopped eating foods that came in packages with ingredients she couldn't pronounce. Second, we addressed her sleep. Sarah was getting 5 to 6 hours a night, doom scrolling on her phone until midnight. We established a tech curfew, created a dark, cool sleeping environment, and aimed for 8 hours. Within 2 weeks her energy improved noticeably. Third, we got her moving. Not intense exercise initially, which can actually increase inflammation in a depleted system, but walking. 20 minutes a day. Then 30. Then we added resistance training twice a week. Movement is medicine, but it has to be the right dose. Fourth, we tackled stress. Sarah was a people pleaser who couldn't say no. She was drowning in obligations and resentment. We worked on boundaries, on recognizing that every yes to someone else was a no to herself. She started meditating, not because it's trendy, but because it demonstrably reduces inflammatory markers. And fifth, we rebuilt her social connections. Sarah had been so busy and so exhausted that she'd isolated herself. We got her into a book club, then a hiking group. Human connection is not a luxury, it's a biological necessity. Only after addressing these fundamentals did we optimize her nutrition. Yes, we included anti-inflammatory foods, fatty fish rich in omega-3s, colorful vegetables packed with polyphenols, herbs and spices like turmeric and ginger, and yes, chia seeds for their fiber and omega-3 seconds. But the chia seeds weren't the hero of the story. They were a supporting actor in an ensemble cast. Here's what makes this so hard. System-wide solutions require system-wide commitment. They require us to change not just what we eat, but how we live. And that's uncomfortable. It's much easier to spend $15 on a bag of chia seeds than to reorganize your entire life. This is where I see the parallel to addiction, my primary field of study. People struggling with addiction are always looking for the easy way out. The medication that will fix everything. The therapy technique that will eliminate cravings. The supplement that will restore brain chemistry. But recovery from addiction requires rebuilding a life. It requires changing people, places, and things. It requires addressing trauma, building coping skills, creating meaning and purpose. There is no shortcut. Inflammation is the same. It's a symptom of a life out of balance, and the only way to address it is to bring your life back into balance. But we resist this truth because it requires something from us. It requires discipline, consistency, patience. It requires us to delay gratification in a world that has forgotten how to wait. The chia seed illusion is really a symptom of reductionist thinking, the idea that we can reduce complex systems to single variables. This is how pharmaceutical companies think. Find the problem pathway, block it with a drug, sell the solution. Sometimes this works brilliantly. Antibiotics for bacterial infections, insulin for type 1 diabetes. But for chronic inflammatory conditions, which are multifactorial and system-wide, reductionism fails spectacularly. You cannot reduce inflammation to a single cause or a single cure, because inflammation is an emergent property of how all your body's systems interact with your environment and your behavior. The food you eat affects your gut microbiome, which affects your immune system, which affects your brain, which affects your behavior, which affects the food you choose to eat. It's a loop, not a line. The stress you experience affects your sleep, which affects your hormones, which affects your appetite, which affects your weight, which affects your inflammation, which affects your stress. Another loop. When you start to see health this way, as interconnected systems rather than isolated parts, the poverty of single solution thinking becomes obvious. You wouldn't try to fix a car by only changing the oil and ignoring the transmission, brakes, and engine. Why would you try to fix inflammation by only changing one food? 6 months after our first meeting, Sarah came back to my office. She looked different. Her face had lost its puffiness. Her eyes were clear. She moved with ease rather than that guarded stiffness I'd seen before. "I'm not taking any pain medication anymore," she told me. "My brain fog is gone. I have energy to play with my kids. I feel like myself again." Then she said something I'll never forget. I kept waiting for the moment when it would suddenly work, like flipping a switch. But it wasn't like that. It was gradual. So gradual I almost missed it. One day I just realized I'd gone a whole week without joint pain. Then 2 weeks. Then I stopped counting. This is what real healing looks like. It's not dramatic. It's not Instagram worthy. It's quiet, cumulative, and profound. Sarah still eats chia seeds, by the way. But now she understands they're part of a much larger picture. One brushstroke in a painting that includes sleep, movement, stress management, community, and whole foods. The chia seeds didn't save her. She saved herself by doing the hard work of living differently. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Stop looking for magic bullets. They don't exist. The supplement industry has made billions convincing you that they do, and they will continue to do so because hope is profitable. But hope without action is just fantasy. Start thinking in systems. Ask yourself not what can I add, but what kind of life produces health. Then build that life, piece by piece, day by day. Embrace the boring fundamentals: real food, adequate sleep, regular movement, stress management, meaningful connection. These are not sexy, they will not go viral. But they work. Be patient with yourself. If your inflammation took years to develop, it may take months to resolve. This is biology, not magic. Trust the process. And finally, reject the dopamine trap of quick fixes. Every time you feel that surge of excitement about the next superfood or supplement or biohack, pause. Ask yourself if you're looking for a solution or just another hit of hope. Here's the beautiful paradox. Once you let go of looking for miracles, miraculous things start to happen. Your body has an extraordinary capacity to heal itself when you remove the obstacles to healing and provide the conditions for health. Sarah discovered this. Thousands of my patients have discovered this. And you can discover this too. But it requires something from you. It requires you to stop being a passive consumer of health solutions and become an active creator of health conditions. It requires you to take responsibility not just for what you eat, but for how you live. The chia seed illusion isn't really about chia seeds. It's about our desperate desire to believe that healing can be simple when life has become complex. It's about our unwillingness to do the hard work of changing the systems that are making us sick. But you are not powerless. You are not broken beyond repair. You are a complex, adaptive, resilient organism capable of profound transformation. You just have to stop looking for the one thing that will fix everything and start building the many things that together create health. That's the real anti-inflammatory protocol. Not a supplement, not a superfood, a life. Now go build yours. Thank you.